All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Tavern Talk, episode number 3. We are really glad that you are here. My name is Sarge. This is a podcast about gaming for gamers by gamers. With me, as always, is my partner, the Sultan of Swing, the King of Kobolds, and the only man under the sea who can make Patrick Starr frisky. Warhammer Actual. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? You always have to outdo me with the intros, bro. I love it. Love it. Good stuff. Even the sound effect. Brilliant. How are you today?
Oh man, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I can't complain. I can't complain at all. So we are on episode 3. We are continuing our segment on gaming and streaming in 2024. Uh, a note for chat. This is an open podcast, so please feel free at any time to post any comments and any suggestions or anything of that nature in chat. And Warhammer and I will do our best to go through and field all of your questions and uh, to help you guys be able to participate because we are on separate platforms. So your guys' inputs are extremely important to us. So with that being said, you know, brother, I wanted to kind of go off of what we were talking about in episode 2 when we were talking about legacy games, and it seems that the whole entire market, for the most part, all right, more PC games rather than console games, but there are some that are doing it. They really seem to be migrating or doing the model of expansions rather than sequels. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. So I think with the rise in cost of game development, right, and the length it takes to get these games out, I think sequels are just easier for them. Are you talking about like like a remaster or a re-release of the same title that's already been done?
That and well, just like World of Warcraft with the War Within. I understand with that
Hey,
they're
crazy,
still
welcome in.
trying to
Good to
go
have you here.
through. Hey, Punk, how are you? Glad you're here. They're trying to go to go through and tell a story, and then you have Dungeons and Dragons Online that it is coming out with the magic of Myth Janor. And I hate to say this, brother, but your camera went blurry
I
again.
know. I just noticed that. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. It was crystal clear, and now it's just like looking underwater in a swimming pool. I have no idea
Do you
what's
need
causing it.
do you need a couple minutes, or do you just want to continue on?
Uh, I mean, my bit rate's solid. It was just working. I don't know what the fluctuation is, honestly. I, I, I mean, we could probably just muddle through. I don't want to stop it. We're just getting rolling. Hopefully, it'll
Okay.
course correct, and if it doesn't, whatever. So they see me blurred.
All right. Well, I mean, just because you're blurry doesn't mean that you can be doing things behind the cam.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So just to piggyback what you were saying is, you know, like BJack's saying in chat right now too, it's easier to do sequels because the game engine's already developed and it's easier to write extensions to the story than write a new story from scratch. And I think that's absolutely 100% true. And also I don't want to say that developers are creatively bankrupt, right? But it's definitely a trend that we're seeing all across the entertainment industry, whether it's video games or movies, right, or even television shows. I'm waiting for Cheers to come back out, or MASH, right? It's like they're just kind of rebooting, IPs that have already been done. And from a video game standpoint, you're talking about before it used to be like a 2-year development cycle, right back in the early 2000s. And then it went up to 5-year development cycle. And now we're looking at 10-year development cycles. So, if you see with Microsoft with Fallout 4, they didn't have plans for Fallout 5 till 10 years out. But with the recent success of the TV show, it's really lit a fire under their ass to speed up these development cycles.
True.
So,
But okay.
so I know there's talk about a Fallout 3 remaster coming out, which, if you look at it from a time saving perspective, the dialogue's already all there. Everything's already blueprinted. They just have to basically plug in the assets, right? The updated assets, whether it be, a fresh coat of paint for the graphics or an overhaul or something like that. But I think it's a quicker way to see return on their investment.
I I can understand that from a business perspective. All right. However, I'm going to play devil's advocate from the gamer side. Uh, I, going through and continually running dungeons that have been remastered to where they added a new branch off of any one of the dungeons that we play. You know, I'm going in there. I'm paying money for this. Okay, I don't want regurgitated stuff. Constantly stuff that hey, this is the same dungeon except I I go left rather than right this time. All right, but everything else is exactly the same.
Um,
As a consumer, at what point does the manufacturers and the developers say, hey, we actually have to go through and cater to our audience? Because if you're doing remastering stuff every single time and you're coming out every 2 years and exactly, punk, we're giving you a Sharn quest with one new optional in each quest. If you're constantly regurgitating stuff, and I'm paying us a monthly subscription, or I spent $140 to go through and buy the game. Why in the world, or the expansion? Why in the world would I want to continue to keep supporting you? All right, as a legacy game, when I can go to a newer company that is coming out with stuff that I've not played before, a new expansion, a new story, or something of that nature.
yeah, I hear that, and I want to get an example specifically from a game that you're drawing that from, that inference. But BJack just dropped something in chat. A lot of games are hitting it big and are so popular, it's easy to capitalize on that market. Uh, by a cheaper, easier follow-on game. A new creation carries inherent risk. Yeah, exactly. Development costs now are so huge, millions and millions and millions of dollars. And if you're not knocking it out of the park and you can't get a return on that investment, I think that's what a lot of developers and publishers are afraid of, right? They want big yields. And especially, like BJack said, with bigger and bigger audiences comes bigger and bigger revenue pools, right? Like that pool just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as there are more consumers buying and engaging with that product, right? Now their GDP just goes through the roof. I think Call of Duty made, not last year but the year before, they made $1 billion in microtransactions alone. 1 billion with a B. So
But that takes me right to my next point on that. You're talking about microtransactions. All right. I mean, at some point, all of these games are going to end up becoming, if they continue the cycle that they're going, it's going to be a a, a, a pay to win game. You know,
yeah, so I agree, right? But that I blame the gamers, right? You can't blame. I understand the companies. Look, are they here because do companies exist because they want to see Sarge USA and Warhammer Actual entertained? No, they're here to turn a profit. So I can't blame them. Who I blame is the people opening up their wallets and swiping. I mean, you got to kind of. I mean, we've all done it. I think I just was telling you, and I spent like $350 in DDO in 3 months. we're all guilty of it, but we have to kind of, self police to make sure we're not overspending, because then it's like positive reinforcement to these developers that, hey, we're doing the right thing because they're consuming this stuff like locusts. They're paying these prices. So it's, if gamers kind of just curb their spending a little bit and are a little more frugal, then I think you'll kind of see that curtail. The money talks, right? It's the age old adage, and it's
True,
hundred
but I
percent.
mean, again, true, but I mean, again, if money talks, all right, then the people that are paying their monthly subscription, rather than going through and paying $100, okay, to get the best weapon in the game, and the person's never played before, and they can go through and just demolish everybody because they have the best weapon in the game. But yet I'm sitting there and have religiously for many years have gone through and paid monthly and done some microtransactions buying mounts or pets or whatever. All right. They're inherently going through and shooting themselves in the foot in the long run.
True, but I think they're blinded by the revenue, really. Um, so I just want you to draw a few examples, right? So what you just said about the pay to win weapon, like what game have you experienced that in that you feel it's egregious?
Um, what was the name? Fortnite? Fortnite was one. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of cosmetics and stuff like that you can go through and buy, but I was referring to it as a general mindset, not trying to name a specific game.
Right.
You know, but again, it's the same. It's the same kind of model.
Fair. I'll take that. So my experience with it is I kind of shy away from pay to win games, but I did play one on Xbox. I played Black Desert Online, and that game, it's not pay to win per se. Well, I guess it is, right? So you can open up your wallet, you can swipe for success in that game, swipe to shortcut. And it's very, very RNG heavy, and it's a Korean MMO, so you can imagine it's very grindy, but it's also with their RNG, it's kind of ridiculous, and they push you constantly to the cash shop, constantly. To me,
Mhm.
to me, it's not worth it. As great as the combat is, it just at the end
Well,
of the day, it's targeting you for your wallet.
that prime example, and you and I have had this conversation many times over. You know, uh, Dungeons and Dragons Online. You are so limited as a free to play player. You're only allowed to carry so much platinum. All right, you're only allowed to go through and have so much bank space. You are limited with how far you can go. There's things that you can't there's content you can't play unless you buy the packs, unless you farm the DDO points. Which, yes, okay, it's an alternative rather than having to spend the money. All right, and then or you know you break out your credit card.
Yeah.
And become a VIP and pay the subscription. Again, I mean, playing devil's advocate, you know, and I'm going to use you for an example. You were absolutely furious, and I don't blame you one bit. Absolutely furious because you wanted to play the Mancer. All right, but to get the Chaos Mancer because it's not available in the store, you had to buy the Ultimate Edition. Was like 140 something bucks.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
again, having to go. I understand having to go through a company has to go through and make money, but at what point does a company go through and say, "Hey, look, we're making money, but we need to be thinking about the players." Because again, if I can only do five quests as a free player, and that's all I can do, I'm going to go find a different game. I'm
Yeah.
not going to go through and spend the money. So, at what point does a company go through and say, you know, and I need to be thinking about my people because they're the ones that are have been keeping this game going for 18 to 20 years.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree on those points. So, uh, I apologize. My cam's going in and out. I don't know what's going on. But so BJack is saying, in his eyes, ESO is slightly pay to win. Playing without a VIP is horrendous. You're exactly right. I just came back to ESO myself, BJack, to PvP, and I was being prohibited from moving items around because of storage. So I literally just resubbed because it was unplayable without it. So what I did was I bought the free. I went from free to play to uh, a VIP because I took everything, all the crafting items, and put it back into my basically bag of holding, which freed up tons of space for me. And then I just canceled it right away. So then I could go back to free to play. So I do like that. I do like that ESO is it's kind of a hybrid. It's a buy to play, pay to play subscription model. So it kind of rides both lines. It is fairly egregious with their pricing. Like some the a banker and a merchant is like $40 real money. So again, that to me that goes back, and I've bought those, right? So I blame myself. That's $80 in just nonsense that I didn't even need because I'm lazy and don't want to fast travel somewhere. And then BJack also says DDO he agrees being pay to win, maybe slightly less, maybe pay to shortcut. So my thing is I would love to see companies kind of course correct and center where you can't kind of double dip, right? Like DDO double dips a lot, and I kind of understand why DDO might be doing that because it doesn't have a mass revenue pool because of its
Right.
player base, but you can't use that as an excuse, right? So my idea would be, just drop the VIP subscription altogether because I mean honestly, what do we really get for VIP? It's fairly minimal, right? 10% XP, you get your mount moves faster. You get, what else do you get? I don't even know. Like the monthly rewards are minimal
Well,
at best.
it also opens up 99% of all of the quests.
Yeah.
So that gives you more content.
Right. But at least they do have a free to play option, which I recently started playing with you, World of Warcraft, right? There is no free to play option. It's literally you either sub or you have no access, right? I don't like games that do that. I like games that give me access. If I paid for your content, if I've bought your expansions, if I've bought your DLCs, I should at least have access, whether it be full access, partial access. I should have something because I have paid for that content. I think 100% subscription models are a thing of the past, right? You can kind of lean into cosmetics, utility services. Now you can get a
Mhm.
little egregious with it, like I think some games do. But I think it needs to be kind of right in that center line on a highway where you're not drifting into another lane too much and have a collision.
Well, and going back to your point about paying for a VIP. One of the games that I do play, World of Warcraft, they have, I think, to a point, they're doing very well with this model. And yes, there's a store to where you can go through and you can buy cosmetic stuff, but there's nothing in there that goes through and affects gameplay. All right. Yes, you can get a mount. Yes, you can get a pet. All right. Um, Good morning, Zero. Yes, you can go and get those things. They're cosmetic, but it's not a pay to win. But also inside the game itself, there is a monetary system, as most of the pay to play or play to win games have. But you can use the money, the in game monetary system, all right, to buy time, game time, play time. You know, so I think World of Warcraft and Blizzard, all right, and they just got finished laying off almost a whole slew of freaking people. But that's a conversation for later. But you know, I think that they're kind of going through and doing it right as far as allowing it for game time, so it's essentially free. But I agree with you to your point. To your point, right off the bat, somebody who wants to go through and try this game, they need to have some kind of version to go through and be able to play to put the fish hook into you. Because once they can get the fish hook into you, then they can open up the store, to buy this, get this mount, get this gear, stuff like that. But the models that it seems the everyone's going to is the pay to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just I think that's a rabbit hole that the companies are inherently going down. You see that across all avenues of business now. Everybody's looking for a subscription model. Look at Twitch, right? They just increased their sub pricing. During a recession, right? I think they're doing okay. I think Amazon's doing okay. I don't think that they need to increase the price of a Twitch sub. You know, um, but not to get off topic. Do you think? What do you think the biggest cons are for that type of, let's say, pay to win model are? What do you think? How do you think it affects you, and not just your wallet, but how do you think it affects you as a gamer? Does it impact your choices of what games you're going to play?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if I'm sitting there and I'm playing a game and I have to sit there and grind days on end, weeks on end, or months on end to be able to get we'll use a mount for example, to get a special mount that I really want to drop, and I'm having to run this instance over and over and over and over and over. All right. For those of you that have ever played World of Warcraft, um, what the heck's the name of that mount? It's the the Lich King mount. I can't remember the name of it now. I had it in my top of my head, but anyway, I had to grind that thing for almost 6 months, running that raid over and over again to get to drop, and then 3 months after I've been grinding for so long, somebody brand new can go to the store and buy them out.
Yeah,
How fair is that?
that's not fair. I would argue that that's kind of an egregious practice, right? Like if like I'm a developer, look, if you're getting pressure, if you're getting pressure from your corporate eggheads to say, hey, we need to make more money, put this in, right? You as a developer should know, hey, look, the time it takes to farm this item is X amount of hours. They have all that data parsed, right? They know how long it takes the average person to get that horse, right? So they
Mhm.
probably shouldn't circumvent people that have earned that achievement in game with their time, because again, it's something I say at nauseum, everybody's time is precious, by then putting that mount on the store. Like, pick a new one, take some creative liberties and make a new mount that's not the same, right? I'm not even saying it's a one-off of color, right? Like, it should literally be just something different. Um, so Necrobotanist just says Autobox is really cheap in the achievement of completionist. I 100% agree. I think it does. I really do. Same thing with XP pots. It's significant if people open up their wallet and they're pushing for completionist. I mean, that's part of the genius of DDO, and why the TRing. All right, so this will get me into a segment real quick, but TRing saved DDO. It truly did. If DDO had never had TRing, that game would have been dead 15 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's like Zero. Just real quick. That's what Zero just got finished saying is he feels more achieved when he's able to grind it out than actually grind it out and actually earn that item
Yeah.
rather than having to pay for it.
Yep. I agree. I agree 100%. I don't think you should be able to just, I mean, if they want to do something different, sure, fine, whatever. You want to let me ride a beholder around in the game? Yeah, and I'll open up my wallet, but don't have me be able to grind a beholder mount and then I see one, 6 months later they put it on the store because they're lazy and they don't want to develop a new asset to sell. I don't
See,
agree with games that do that.
you you see that starting to happen more and more, and again, it goes back to that premises, of a pay to win. Granted, you're not amount has absolutely nothing to do with going through and winning the game, but it's still that the general um the general concept of, again, you have people that have been dedicated to this game for many years, and now somebody who's never done anything can come out and have all the best stuff that you've spent years going through and doing it. It goes back to, again, they've got to start listening to their audience. Zero said stores should stick to pots, cosmetic, and account upgrades. If I can just buy all the stuff, what is the point in playing? Exactly the point. How is a company going to go through and keep their loyal base and continue that money coming in if, the people that have been playing it for 20 years, all right, and everything that they've done is irrelevant because somebody can come in and pay for it all.
Yeah. So for me, what I would do with that game is I would say, all right, what's a necessity and what's a luxury item, right? So for me, I would lean into, hey, let's put more items for like guild ship boosting and things like that, because that's a conscious choice, right? And it can also be a collective choice with community. Like, hey, we're all in this guild, help, let's all push to get the XP to level this guild up.
Thanks, Punk.
And let's if we can, let's buy some pots to, to push the guild, rep up. But don't put it on the individual, because but that's also a choice. Like, if I'm a guild leader and I want to grow this guild, I know this is going to be a significant investment, whether it be of time or monetarily. But to equally levy these microtransaction purchasable items equally across the board, I think those systems need to be revamped a little bit and reworked, right? And just kind of prioritize what's egregious and probably, what's a pay to convenience item. Um,
Well, and I agree with that. That's going to go into, the same conversation, but us as adults, all right, us as adults, we've got kids. So, my son, I kick his ass if he ever did it, but luckily all mine are all grown. So now they're tailoring to these kids, and they go and grab mom and dad's credit card, and they start running up 300, 400, $500,000 to get the best looking stuff.
yeah, I mean, development companies should kind of try to insulate people from that, but that really comes down to, you can't control that. That has to be on the parents to kind of self-police their own children. Bjack said he strongly believes X, XP Guild and Slayer pots should have platinum counterpart for in-game currency. Yeah, I think more things like even VIP drops should come as VIP subscriptions should come as drops in a game, where, hey, I can earn VIP and then sell it on the auction house to kind of move plat around, right? Like, make plat worth something. Currency in some games end up being meaningless. Elder Scrolls Online, DDO, you
Exactly,
get to a
zero.
point where money just becomes irrelevant. And if you could do something else, like, hey, if I'm look, here's what I would strive for as a developer. I don't care what kind of people do, but I want them in my game, populating my game. All I want to do is get people to in the game to make the game world feel more alive. How do I do that, right? Um, so my thing is what a lot of developers do is they put these ridiculous grinds in there, these artificial time sinks that they think is going to inflate game time. That's not what inflates game time, right? There's some stuff in some games I look at and I'm like, I'm not even doing that because that's just a fucking time trap. It's not really going to
Mhm.
benefit me in the long run, and it's just going to be a huge time sink. And at the end of the day, what am I really gaining from it? I play games long term because of the people I meet, the community that gets cultivated, how fun the game is, how much am I enjoying the game minute to minute. That's what matters to me more than anything else that a title can throw at me. So I think,
But
go ahead, sir.
go ahead.
No,
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 go
go
ahead.
ahead.
So,
But but to, you just said as a developer, all right, you want to go through and get people in here to play the games. But if you as a developer are not listening to your audience and you are creating, a pay to win or something of that nature, all right, you're not going to keep you're not going to keep your audience.
nope.
That was my whole original premise is that gamers, not gamers, but game manufacturers and developers, they're out of control at when it comes to going through and the pay to win or the even the pay to play. They've got to go through and start listening to their people and offering more, and then using the monetary as a side benefit. Yes, I mean, as on your stream, BJack went through and said, let me find it real quick. Do I look like a dope ass pirate queen? Yeah. Is it helping me in an R10? No.
Yep.
Exactly. That's what they need to be doing. But how do we as gamers go through and get that message to these developers that this is not what we want. We want to be able to play a game that we love and have the community that we love and not get nickel and dimed just to go through and pay $148 just to be able to play a class.
Wallets. Wallets. The only way to do look, they're not going to stop, right? The only way to do it is wallets. People need to just get to, but the problem is they don't. But people need to get together and be like, look, $140 to put your iconic behind a paywall of $140, that's egregious, right? We're not going to participate. And I'm not knocking, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking DDO. I'm just using this as an example, right? I mean, people
Right.
can, it's their money. They can do what they want. They can spend it on their leisure activity, however they choose. But I think if people see these trends, and right, it's like anything. It's like kids. They push you a little bit to see what they can get away with. As soon as they get away with it, they push you again and they move the bar. They just keep moving the bar. If you allow the companies to continually move that monetary bar, they're going to take advantage of it. Why wouldn't they? I would, right? They're going to capitalize on it. Exactly. We all bitch that we enough of us pay that it enables them to continue doing it. Exactly, BJ. So I think if people are
Sure.
really that passionate about it, then you have to pay. You have to speak with your wallet, right? You have to not engage in these, egregious purchases, but people do because it's something that they do love. So I guess it comes down to individual choice and in your own individual value systems as a consumer, right? As a consumer, what you deem is worth your time and worth your money. And this is going to segue into something that I just saw recently in an article, but I don't want to cut this short. But to capitalize on what you said earlier, that actually just happened where Escape from Tarkov released I think it was in the upwards of $200 or more, kind of expansion to their game where they locked content behind that $200 pay point.
Mhm.
And it backfired on them. Their player base was gonna embrace it. Their player base lashed back out, and they've gotten huge pushback, by the community. And I think that they got a huge drop off in players and player retention. And yeah, exactly. BJack is Strim Tom Voodoo. If more people spoke out, and again, it's not like a revolt. I get it, right? It's a small development team. It's a small company. I don't want to say they're in maintenance mode, but let's face facts. Standing Stone Games is not. It doesn't have any games in the works, right? It's almost like they're a maintenance. They're a maintenance service for titles that they see can continue to make revenue in the coming years. But it has to be if players are I support what you said 100%, Sarge, where you have to listen to your players, but your players have to speak clearly and concisely, and your players have to band together. Everybody likes to bitch, but nobody likes to do anything, right?
But how do you do that
You
as a player? How do you do that?
the only way to course correct is in your communities or in your groups or in your guilds, what have you. You have these discussions, right? You say, "Hey, Sarge, are you playing? Are you playing the next expansion? Are you going to play that class?" "No, I'm not playing it because it's $140 and I'm going to stand by it." And then you kind of have this discussion with each other. And if maybe people will get on board, maybe they won't. These discussions good. Hey, I think this is hurting the game long term and definitely hurting and suppressing growth, because as a new player I see that $140 price point and I'm like, I'd love to play that, but I can't afford that, right? And yeah, exactly, Necro. He says tons of people love the autos boxes. It's like anything, they get you hooked. It's an addiction, right? If I'm addicted to flipping TRs fast, human beings, we all love shortcuts, right? I think that's why we're seeing these huge leaps and bounds in AI, right? Because we love shortcuts. And you know who loves shortcuts even more? Corporations. You know who loves
Yeah,
taking human beings out of the equation? Corporations. So I think this is a good segue into the next segment, Sarge. What do you think?
sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So, uh, technology advancing too fast for the gaming market. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, you and I have gone through and we have talked about this, and I'll let you talk more about AI. But you know, in reference to one of those articles that you did send to me, you know, technology is developing fa- faster than I think the developers can even keep up with. You know, in one of those articles, you know, Blizzard, Activision Blizzard went through and laid off thousands of people, of developers, designers that only handle 3D graphics.
Right. Why do you think that is?
Well, obviously because of AI.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know,
So I saw the other day, and I believe I sent it to you. So I saw on wired.com, and
Mhm.
the big headline was AI is already taking jobs in the video game industry. A wide investigation finds that major players like Activision Blizzard, which recently laid off scores of workers, are using generative AI for game development. That's huge, right?
Mhm.
So uh, wave of anxiety hit. It was spring 23. Activision artist was reading a message from the company's then chief technology officer about how artificial intelligence was top of mind at the video game publisher system, still being tested. While we have seen this thus far as it holds ton of promise. So to me, first off, AI is going to be a huge problem in all of the artisan and entertainment industry. It's going to hit all these professions really, really hard, really
Mhm.
hard. Exactly. Microsoft Copilot writing entire engines on its own with only some tweaks needed from human oversight. That's exactly what you're going to see. You're going to see human, like, overseers oversighting and just making minor micro corrections on what the AI is doing. I think you're going to see that very, very frequently. Video games is just the tip of the iceberg. But
Right. But go ahead.
no, no, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Nope.
But to segue into that, and also not segue, but to your point, all right. So we've been talking so far about going through and listening to your audience. All right. So that way you can still go through and generate money. Utilizing AI is going to give should go through and give us give us as the consumer what we're looking for as a from a developer, because now it's so less expensive to go through and create something utilizing AI. All right. But I guarantee you 99% their models aren't going to change whether they're using AI or not. Again, it's more money they're going to end up getting.
No, it's going to widen their profit margins, right? Because now they're laying off all these employees making what, I don't know what they're making, right? Let's just say between $60 and $100,000 a year. You lay off 1,000 people making $100,000 a year, right? That's just more passive income in your pocket, right? So if an AI can do something in a day that takes a development team 8 months, think of the savings. Now, from a game perspective, is that going to cut down these development cycles? Instead of 10 years, are we going to get games again in 2 years? Probably, but at what cost, right? At what human cost? And again, us as gamers and consumers, we're bringing around the demise of supporting people that create the entertainment that we love, right? If we open up our wallets and say, hey, you know, I'm going to buy the next Call of Duty where 80% of the assets were created by, generative AI tools. I'm going to open up my wallet and support that title. Then I'm partially to blame too, right? Um, if it's something that it's kind of like people supporting local businesses, right? Instead of going to Amazon for all your needs, like most people I knew do. They don't even leave their house. They just go to Amazon, have everything delivered. But I firmly believe in supporting your local businesses because that's not controlled by a huge juggernaut that really doesn't care about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
The local business might be a little bit more expensive, but at least you're helping out your neighbor a little bit. And I understand we all need to save money, but from the video game perspective, and not to get too far off track, but um, I think we as gamers too should shy away from consuming that. I mean, there's a huge temptation of we're like locusts, give me more, right? Faster, better. But at the same time, too, there's a huge human cost to that. And you're going to see this more and more. And I don't think it's going anywhere. Um,
True.
you know, at Call of Duty, they said they approved the internal use of generative AI tools, right? That's huge. That's going to cut out tons of jobs. This year, layoffs in the nearly 20 billion sector have only gotten worse, with studios axing what is believed to be 11,000 more and counting. Microsoft, home of the Xbox parent company to several studios, including Activision Blizzard, shuttered Tango Gameworks and Alpha Dog Games in May. All the while, generative AI systems built by OpenAI and its competitors have been seeping into nearly every industry, dismantling whole careers along the way. Huge,
Mm-hmm.
right? Huge. It's going to get to the point where AI is writing the dialogue for the campaigns. AI is creating all your in-game assets. Like BJack said, AI is working on the source engine to make it pushing the boundaries of technology, which is all great, but that's going to come at a huge human cost. People
Yeah,
can
but I agree. I agree with that. But as a consumer, all right, you know, as a consumer, why would I care about the human cost?
well,
I want to be able to have the best graphics. I want to be able to have an engaging experience. I want to be able to have the different dialogues, the different contents and stuff like that. Um, I mean, again, it's 2024. 2D, it should have been dead years ago. All right, but as a consumer, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. As a consumer, why should I care?
uh, I'll get to that. I have a feel. I have an opinion on why you should care. But
Okay.
Necrobotness said AI chatting NPCs could be more interesting than scripted NPCs. 100%. So I've seen a couple games do this recently, Necro. Um, Arma 3 is one. It's a military sandbox. People play it. It's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons with guns. You have it's called Zeus, but it's a dungeon master where you put down assets and stuff. But they're using Chat GPT for players to interact with the NPCs to have spontaneous dialogue. I also saw that as a mod in Skyrim, right? And also as a mod with a companion in Skyrim, have an interactive AI. it's amazing what's gonna come. But to circle back to what you said, Sarge, I get that, right? But this is a question for basically humanity, right? If we all want to just live in these, I look at it like Judge Dredd. If we all want to live in these mega cities, right, all in these 50-story high skyscrapers where we just got VR plugged onto ourselves all day and everything's provided to us and we don't have to leave. I know that's an extreme example, but you should care because um, at the end of the day, more and more human uh, lives are being affected, and more human jobs and creativity is just being crushed. They're
Well,
sucking the souls out of humanity a little bit. All for
yeah.
profit. All for profit.
And again, zero just got finished saying, and I feel that the AI with AI, we're going to see a difference because there will be no real human thought or emotion behind it. So I think we'll be able to go through and tell. But again, I mean, you haven't really answered my question. With the the mindset that people are in now, they don't give a shit about anybody else other than themselves. So why should I care if the 11,000 people got laid off as long as I get to go through and have an immersive experience?
Because eventually it will touch on a part of your life. Eventually, right?
I
Um,
agree.
on some level or some degree, it's going to affect you or a family member, or it'll eventually hit someone or something you do love or care about. Eventually, you may be
Right.
insulated for a
I agree.
while. You may be insulated for quite a while, and you may reap the benefits of it, and it may feel great. But eventually, it is going to seep into hitting every single person on the planet. Uh, you know, in this article, it says there's a ton of anxiety for artists across the board with AI. An environment artist who was working on an Overwatch game at Activision Blizzard. Uh, Pretty much everyone I know is vehemently against the use of AI generated images because it's gonna just ruin lives. So it's gonna go back to human beings are gonna have to be ditch diggers, right? It's gonna you better truck
Well,
drivers. You're gonna have to go back to
exactly.
all these technical jobs until they can perfect the robots to have driverless 18 wheelers, robot ditch diggers, right? You're gonna see it's happened all throughout history as technology advances. Human jobs just get wiped out. Back in the turn of the century, the Industrial Revolution, when electricity came out, they used to have lamp-lighters, right? You used
Yeah.
to have people go around streets of cities and light street lights because they were like either gas or way back candles. That was a job, and we're
That's like
we're on that
punk.
precipice of that happening now.
I mean, that's like what Punk just got finished saying is it'll be more like the Matrix where we are batteries to power the AI.
Absolutely.
Going, I mean, there are restaurants now, predominantly out in California, to where robots and AI. There's three people that are working at a McDonald's.
Yep.
And that's just to go through and make sure that it's got the machines got everything it needs, but it controls everything. It goes through, does the register, cooks the food. The person takes it off of the conveyor belt and gives it to the person. That's it.
Yeah.
You know,
The humans will be there just to replace the fucking cash register tape, the receipt paper, right? That's what humans will be there for. Is that what we really want to happen? As as human beings, do we really want that to occur?
but as a corporation, yeah, okay, I want the additional profits, but if I don't have the personnel to go through and pay to play or pay to win because they don't have the money, again, as a corporation, I'm shooting myself in the foot.
Yes and no. Because you're gonna cut so much of the cost, right? That's easy. If it fails, okay, we'll just move on to the next. We've already paid for the AI; it's all free now, right? We just got to maintain to have the latest and greatest AI.
Who cares? There?
So if we have a dip, and you know what, there's never going to be a dip. The biggest entertainment market on the planet, well, shouldn't say on the planet, but at least in the modern world, is video games. They top sports, they top movies, they top music. The video game industry is topping all those other sources of entertainment, and every human being wants an outlet. And it seems like the outlets are moving more digitally now than ever. So an artist here said, "What's fucked up? One-time environment artist Blizzard, half of the environment art team cut from Overwatch 2." Another one says, "From an AI perspective, different parts of the industry are getting eaten up by others. Why get a bunch of expensive concept artists or designs when you can get an art director to give some bad directions to an AI and get stuff that's good enough really fast and get a few artists to clean it up," like Bjek said, right? You just have the artists be like, "Oh, let me tweak this, let me tweak that, let me tweak that." Now I have a staff. If I had a staff of 200, now I have a staff of 10. That's never a good thing. So now all those other, 190 people have been displaced, and now they get a what? They're not going to get another job as a concept artist in the industry. They're gonna go learn how to do something else. I would not go into game development now as a young person. I would definitely be pushing towards, a more technical job. Generative AI can most capably produce 2D images that managers and cost squeeze studios might consider good enough, right? So again, this is even going to bleed into those small indie developers. If they buy into this and grab on, you're going to see this even affect those small indie developers where it's like, "Hey, it's me, it's Sarge and Warhammer. We're going to make a game. We need to hire a team. We're going to hire 20 people." And Sarge says, "No, we're not hiring 20 people. We're going to hire 4 people, and then we'll use AI to augment and supplement all our development, cut costs, and we'll get this game out that's going to be almost as good, if not better. Let's do that instead." These are scary times for sure. Necrobotanist, a better approach is to support people while they're transition from jobs.
I agree, Paul.
But that isn't really the American way. Sadly, it's heading towards that, right? And this is a larger conversation.
Again, you keep going through and saying that the only way for us to stop it is with our wallet, and I agree. But how do we, as a species, if you will, all right, how do we as a species go through and stop this so the 11,000 people don't lose their jobs? How do we? It's an age old question. How do you stop progress?
So that segues me right into, so the Associated Press, video game performers will go on strike over artificial intelligence concerns. That's step one, right? You have to have real human beings, not just talking about taking action or having positive vibes, right? Vibes are great. Action is what changes things, right? So you have to actually take action. I can sit here and bang out on my keyboard all day of why this is bad and this is terrible, but if I do nothing else, then I've done nothing, right? You literally have to take action. And I mean, right here it says Hollywood's video game performance announced they would go on strike Thursday, throwing part of the entertainment industry into another work stoppage after talks for a new contract with major game studios broke down over artificial intelligence protections, right? The strike, the second for video game voice actors and motion capture performers, huge, right? Now I'm gonna, how they have green screen and they actually have human beings dressing up in costumes and doing the motion capture. That's all gone, right? Under the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists will begin 12 a.m. on Friday. The move comes after nearly 2 years of negotiation with gaming giants, including Activision, Warner Brothers, and Walt Disney, over new interactive media agreement. SAGAFTRA negotiators say gains have been made over wages and job safety in the video game contract, but the two sides remain split over the regulation of generative AI. So I think that's the first step, is if if we as consumers love these games, we got to support and get behind the developers and their struggles. We have to care. It's like anything. Well, why should I care? You have to care.
Mhm.
If you don't care about, if if you don't if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And that's another age old adage that's
Good point.
absolutely true. If you
Yeah,
don't think that a corporation, it's just like politics. Nobody has your best interest at heart. Everybody's looking to just suck you dry as a resource, right? And then cast you aside and give me the next resource, like I think one of your chatters said, like the Matrix, right? We have to stand up as human beings and band together and say, look, I get it, but you don't need to make that much profit. And I'm not talking about socialism. I'm just talking about these corporations have gotten so big. They make as much money as some nations' GDPs. That's what you're up against, and the workers have to say, enough's enough, and we have to support the workers and say, hey, if you do this, if Skyrim 6 comes out with everything created by AI, yeah, it might be amazing, but how many people have lost their jobs because of that? Oh, I don't care because I get to turn on my Xbox and play. Ah, you have to care, especially when, okay, let's say, you used to work at a job, and now your job was being taken away by AI. This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to have
mhm.
the tendrils are going to reach deep. Now is at the time, we are on the precipice. Now is the time that we have to say, hey lawmakers, hey no, we don't want that. We can't have that. Yes, we understand that it's not going anywhere, but it needs to be in support of the human effort, right? It's just like, okay, if you want AI to take over the military, no more soldiers. We'll just have robots. We'll have robots go fight
Well,
all our
I
wars.
mean, there's definitive things that AI can definitely go through and assist with. Prime example is all right. You and I are owners of Standing Stone Games, okay, and I'm referencing DDO. And late as of late, that game itself, all right, has had an extraordinary amount of downtime. All right, constant maintenance issues. The next expansion getting pushed back. As an owner of Standing Stone Games, you know AI could be used to go through as a security base that and I'm not a programmer, not a developer, so I might be talking way off base, but say that on 1 a.m. in the morning, something ends up happening, there's a glitch in the system. AI can then go through and fix it that quick, on the fly, rather than going through and the game being down for 13 hours while we wait for a human to go through billions of lines of code to try and figure out that it was supposed to be a colon, not a semicolon.
Yeah. I look. I'm with you. Right. I agree. And as we have micro attention spans, with texting and with computers and with the way the world is going, I understand. Right. I really do. But at the same time, it's the human cost, man. I get you. Like, everybody's impatient. We want our games back up immediately. We don't want to wait 13 hours if it could take 30 minutes with AI doing it. I get that. Trust me, I do. But that's never a good thing. When it's gonna, if we don't control it, it's gonna get to a point where AI is our entertainment industry. The CEO in Hollywood is AI. It's
It's
Mr.
gonna
House
go.
in Fallout.
It's gonna. It's gonna go far beyond that. I mean, not
Yeah,
not trying to do a movie reference or anything like that, but it has the capability, if it's not controlled, to become Skynet.
absolutely. So in this article, it even says, without guardrails, game companies could train AI to replicate an actor's voice or create a digital replica of their likeness without consent or fair compensation, the union said. We strike as a matter of last resort. We've given this process absolutely as much time as we possibly can. We've exhausted the other possibilities, and this is why we're doing it now. And I agree with them, and I support them. You know, um, we're disappointed that the union has chosen to walk away when so close to a deal. We remain prepared to resume negotiations. That's corporate speech, whatever.
Yeah.
I agree, Necro. I don't know how much we're going to be able to do about it. I mean, even Elon Musk just recently said, like, this is a grief concern of what AI is on the point, is on the tipping point of. It's scary. It's scary. And
Yeah.
and games are just, again, games are just something that I kind of pay attention to because I really don't, politics, whatever. But games I pay attention to because it's my leisure activity, and I know it's yours. So I kind of pay more attention to this than some of the other things. But it's going to seep into everything. They already have, like, wait till Ubers become driverless, right?
Well, just as Punk just said, I'll be back.
Exactly. I'll be back. It's coming. It's coming, and it's scary. And again, at least this small little mic. I look at it like this: if we can control this small little microcosm, but it's not that small, of video games, then that could be a huge win. But if we support our artists, it's like you go to concerts to watch your favorite artist, right? Why? You could sit at home and listen to that music, right? But you go there because you're passionate about that artist and you go there to support them, right? Same thing with sporting games. Why am I going to the local stadium to watch, the Patriots play, right? Because tickets are like $200. Listening to a bunch of drunk jerks in the audience stands, going through traffic, urine all over the floors in the restrooms, when I could just stay home and watch it from the comforts of my own home on a nice
Right.
couch in a nice environment. But it's because I'm so passionate about this and I want to feel like I'm there and a part of it. I think people have this inclination to
Well, I mean,
open their wallets for things they love, but they have to do that cautiously.
and again, we're almost out of time. Uh, that again, then that goes to where you and I have been talking about it initially at the beginning of this, to where those companies that are now starting or continuing the model of the pay to play, which will eventually incorporate AI and stuff like that. So at this point in time, we as gamers and we as consumers need to go through and stop them now rather than when it's too late.
I agree.
And it starts with, I'm not going to pay $148 to go through and get an iconic character, or I'm not going to go through and pay, you know, 137 dollars, or excuse me, 137 dollars, uh, for a mount, out of a game for a cosmetic. But we as a consumer need to go through and hold these companies accountable. All right, but one or two are not going to be able to go through and make a difference. You're
No.
going to need millions.
Yeah, it needs mass adoption and mass buy-in. It really does.
Yeah.
And sadly, uh, sadly, I'm worried that people just they don't take action, and
Yep.
I don't know. But without getting too doom and gloom, I could spend another 4 hours talking on this discussion. I know you got to get going and get to work. So with that, I like to say thank you very much to everybody who showed up today. It's been so
Yep.
fun having
Thank
this
you.
discussion. You guys in the tavern with us, engaging in this conversation. This is exactly what we're looking to achieve here. We want everybody who's viewing to be part of the conversation, to actively engage in the conversation as if we all
Yep.
met up, we're sharing a beer and having a discussion about something that we're all passionate about. So everybody who's viewing right now, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Seriously, both Saj and
Yep.
I truly appreciate everybody's time. It's been amazing. So I want to thank all of you for helping participate and make this conversation great, because it has been. I apologize about my camera. I don't know what's going on. If it's a bandwidth issue, I'll try to get that dialed in.
It's AI.
It probably is. It's parsing my data. It's like what's he saying about us? We're putting him on our list. So I think you have an announcement that's going to be pretty special, Sarge. Can you tell us about what's happening on the next episode 4 of Tavern Talk?
Yep, yep. Episode 4, August 14th. We are going to be going through and getting a little bit more game centric. Our guest that is going to be coming in is the community manager for Standing Stone Games over Dungeons and Dragons. We've got a Cordovon coming on. He's going to be coming in and talking again about gaming uh, from a developer's perspective, as a community manager, and what he sees the industry going, and issues that they, from a corporate standpoint and from a community standpoint, are starting to go through and see.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. I'll have a uh, I'll have a battery of questions for him. I'll send it to you for review
I'm sure we
first,
all
though.
will. I'm sure we all will.
Yep. So, audience, if you guys are available on the 14th, come by. Let's all have some questions for Cordo, and we'll bring up that downtime for sure because I'm kind of curious about that myself. Hopefully, we'll get an answer.
Yep. All right. Well, folks, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much, Warhammer. You got anything else?
No, man. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for the great conversation. Thank you to all the guests for being here. And I just want to also say it's great to see you back streaming again, man. You've rebounded so fast, and it's been inspiring, man. It's awesome to have you back. I missed seeing you on Twitch. I
Well,
really did. So
thank you. I appreciate it. It's just, I guess, there is a computer virus. I've got I've got the DDO lag in my head now. So,
right, don't be surprised if there's a channel point redemption. No, anybody,
so
if anybody is not currently following Sarge USC, please, please, please go check out his channel as well. We both stream this episode together. So big shout out to Sarge USA.
yep.
So thanks again, everybody.
I appreciate you all, and I put down Warhammer's link. So if you haven't stopped by his page, please do. So, all right, brother.